Hello, everyone. It is me, Stacey Nell, the Executive Director of the Kansas African American Affairs Commission, with our Monday Lunch and Learn. Starting about a minute late, I was trying to let the tornado sirens finish their thing because they're going.
Mhm,
Can you hear them? But anyway,
mhm.
this would be bad radio because I have noise pollution. I am here today with Bonita Gooch. Hello, Bonita.
Hello, hello. Thank you.
Bonita is
Mhm,
the editor of the Community Voice newspaper.
mhm,
And a lot of people know about the Community Voice newspaper. So I was thrilled to have her on today to talk with me about all things Community Voice.
Okay.
I love embarrassing my guests by reading their bio right up front. So that's what I'm going to
Mm,
do.
okay.
Everyone's like, oh, you have to read my bio? I'm like, yes, I do. People need to know how important you are. Okay,
Okay.
here we go. Bonita Gooch is the publisher of the Community Voice. She hails from Wichita, Kansas. Her parents, Dora and UL Rip Gooch, who was a pioneer for Black aviators in the country, and a former Kansas. Her parents were Dora and Rip Gooch, a pioneer for Black aviators in the country, and a former Kansas state senator for many years.
Mhm,
As a teenager, she took a journalism class and volunteered for the North High School newspaper. Gooch
mhm.
also had an early job with the Wichita Times, a local Black paper. She has a BA in journalism from Kansas State University and a master's degree in public administration. It was
Mhm.
Rip Gooch who persuaded Bonita to buy the Community Voice in 1995. Since then, Bonita Gooch has made the Community Voice an active participant in its community, which she believes is vital to its success. The paper includes local and national news that focuses on Black political and social issues.
Great. That's a good. Where'd you get that? I never heard that bio.
I Googled you, and then
Really?
I pulled it all together
Oh, you pulled it together. That's good. Let
and
me
wrote
get a copy of that. No, I have another bio. I thought you were going to read the little everyday bio that I always send out. I like that. That's
Oh, see,
great.
I should have just had you send me a bio. No, I like had to Google you and do work
Oh
and figure it
my.
out myself.
Okay, well, I like that one, and because I wondered how you knew I worked for the Wichita Times. That's not one I necessarily share a lot. So good research. You need a job. You have one, don't you? Okay. It's always research is a very large part of what journalists do, by the way. So
Mhm.
that's good. Very good.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
it's my background because honestly, my first degree is in art history. Go figure. So I spent a lot of time doing research and reading, and lots
Okay.
of times in the stacks in the library, just
Okay. Very
reading
good.
and doing research. So
Okay. You
okay,
didn't.
it's a lunch and learn. The first thing I always have to ask people is, "What are you having for lunch?"
I haven't had breakfast yet, Stacy. You know what you're talking about? I really haven't. I jumped up this morning and at 8 o'clock. I waited nicely until 8 o'clock because I don't like to bother my neighbors and jumped out and mowed my lawn.
Ah, okay.
And then after that, I had a Zoom call with my employees at 9. I had another Zoom call at 10. And now here, I haven't had time to stop for breakfast. So
Okay, listen, you need to eat.
yeah, I know. And I don't even have a clue what I'll have for lunch, but I'll get it after this.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
something.
You
Yeah,
have
I'll have to
you
think
have
about what I might
to.
even have in my refrigerator. Okay.
To me, it's my old standby. It's the almond butter and honey sandwich with some
Oh,
chips
that's
and some
good.
fruit. I mean, it's
Good.
basic. It's straightforward.
Okay, I like that. I like a peanut butter and banana sandwich.
Hmm. Interesting. I've always heard about that and never tried it.
That is very, very good. Very good. On
Okay.
a, on a, on an English muffin.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you have to
Okay.
try peanut butter and honey. Do you do peanut butter and honey?
Well, they're not the same. I'll do that sometimes if I don't have a banana. But then you
And
get
then,
that protein
and
and
then
all that.
here's the thing. And then we have to talk about because I didn't bring you on here to talk about peanut butter sandwiches. But when I was a little girl, and I have found that this is very specific to where I grew up in
Mhm,
Iowa.
mhm.
I remember very clearly when I was in elementary school on Fridays, we always had chili and peanut butter sandwiches.
No,
Now, a
not
lot
here.
of people do chili and cinnamon rolls, but in Iowa, it's chili and peanut butter sandwiches. Try it, please.
No.
It's the
Okay.
savory.
It's okay
And
as well. Okay, I'll try it. I just grew up on chili and crackers. That was it. And now I do chilies and nacho chips.
okay, I mean, chilies and tortilla chips, that's option. Okay, now we
Okay.
have burned 4 minutes talking about
Okay. Come on. Okay. Good. Let me get me straightened up here.
this.
Okay. Gotcha.
That was
Mhm.
not the reason why
But
I
that's
had
okay.
you on.
You know what? Some of that stuff is far more interesting than all the other boring stuff in people's lives. Really, it is from a journalist. I mean, really, those kind of things make for interesting stories. That kind of stuff about individuals. It really does.
Well, I'm telling you, man, you have to look up this whole peanut butter and chili thing. Peanut
Okay.
butter sandwiches and chili.
Okay. Sounds good. Peanut butter
It's
and
crazy.
jelly. Okay.
Okay,
Hmm.
the Community Voice newspaper.
Yes.
and your upbringing and how you came to the Community Voice newspaper. Because yes, I do know you come from a family of aviators and
Right,
educators.
right. Aviators and
So,
educators.
and your father, Rip Gooch, is without exaggeration, he
Hmm.
is a legend in Kansas.
Hmm.
One in the legislature, as I
Hmm.
believe, if I have it correct, was he the first Black person to be elected to the Senate?
Oh, no, no, no. There were
No.
several before him, a lot before him.
Okay.
He wasn't even the first from Wichita, so no. No.
Okay. Okay. But then I know because I was blessed enough to attend his funeral, his memorial service. So I'm sorry about that. But
Hmm.
just to hear his history as a Black aviator and how
Hmm.
much he has done in that area is
Right.
fascinating,
Yeah.
and worth the time. But he was the one who convinced you to buy the newspaper.
Yeah, and I was sitting there thinking, I'm sitting here in my den with somewhere over there is a copy of Rip Gooch's book, but that's a good read. If I could just see it real quick, I'd run over there and pick one up and let you guys see it. But if you really want to hear a really good story, Rip Gooch did a really great story. It's called Black Horizons, one aviator's story in a post-Tuskegee era or something like that. But great book, great read. So just thought I'd tell that about Rip since you talked so much about Rip. But yeah, he was the one who I'll tell everybody, I graduated from high school and I left Wichita, Kansas. I don't know that I thought I was ever coming back.
That's what always happens, right?
But I left and I went to KU. I came back only one summer. And after that, I left and I moved all around and I was gone for 23 years.
Wow.
And yeah. And so then, dad, we lost my brother, who was also an aviator. And so I had told mom and dad, and there was nobody here with them, that I would come back to Wichita. And I kept saying, I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm coming. It had gone on for about 6 years and I still hadn't gotten back, but finally got to a point where I came back and had no idea what I was going to do here. I mean, I was clueless. I was just here. And I figured out, how you get to that. I'm transitioning. I'm ready for the next phase of my life. What's going to happen. And I don't know. And so I had a degree in journalism, but I did have the master's in public administration. And I had really worked in public administration and then had followed the other part of the family's trend, which was entrepreneurship with some businesses that I tried and done okay with. And then I came home but I didn't know what I was going to do. So it really had never worked for a newspaper per se, besides that little newspaper. And so dad said, there's this newspaper for sale. You should buy it. I'm like, I don't think so. No, not me. And he just would not let up. He wouldn't let up. You really need to talk to this guy. You really need to. And so the joke always was, the way he convinced me was he told me he would help. He said,
Yeah.
help. Well, that help didn't quite pan out to be what I had in mind.
Right.
He convinced me that way, but I am so glad he did. It's just been a wonderful experience. Otherwise, obviously, I wouldn't still be doing it. And I'm trying to remember where I am now, 26 years later. So I've been doing.
So it's not like you grew up as a little girl saying, I'm going to own a newspaper one day.
No.
You just got talked into it on a whim and you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Right. And again, I had majored in journalism and I kind of thought I would be a journalist, but at the time, journalists didn't get paid much.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's why when I realized how little they were going to pay me, I was like, oh no, I'm going back to school.
Yeah.
I went back and got a master's, and that's what I'd worked in. But so I had given up the whole vision of journalism. And so this was kind of brought me back to a path where I had originally said I wanted to go.
Fantastic. So the Community Voice, when you bought it,
Mm-hmm.
what was it when you bought it? And then, like you said, you've been doing this for 27 years. So it's not like
Mm-hmm. Well,
this was not a flash in the pan for you. This is something that you were taken and grown and expanded. So what was it when you bought it? And then what was your vision?
Well, it was a pretty rough little monthly. I bought it from Billy McCrae. Now, Billy had been a state senator. He had been a state senator, too, from representing Wichita, had left there, run for the county commission. And then he no longer was going to be on the county commission, but he was trying to get his daughter, Melody McCrae Miller, elected to the county commission.
Uh-huh.
And so he realized the power of media. And this was obviously way before the internet, people. who can go back that far. This is definitely for anybody that even dreamed of the internet, probably. So it was newspapers. So that's why he started a newspaper and kind of did, and it did what he wanted it to do. He got Melody elected to the county commission, but shortly after that, his wife became ill, and ultimately died, and not very shortly after that. And so I think he was just kind of really lost his interest and a little disheartened in it, and really just wanted to get rid of it. And so he'd only had it maybe about 2 years. I don't even think quite a full 2 years. And so that's when Dad, started that. So that's kind of how. So he really wasn't a journalist. He wasn't a big writer. This wasn't anybody who was trained in newspapers. So it needed a lot of TLC. And so, I mean, immediately when we took it over, you could see the difference. I mean,
right.
Good. So we got a new design, lots of content. But again, there was so much I didn't know. I mean, I really didn't know a lot. But we were putting out lots of long stories that nobody wanted to read. Things like that, printing a lot of pages that we couldn't afford to print, all that kind of stuff. But finally, over the years, have kind of worked it out. But one of the biggest changes, I think we moved from a monthly to a weekly first, and which was a mistake. There's Lucille Bluford. Have you ever heard of Miss Bluford? Oh, she was the long-term publisher of the Kansas City Call.
Okay.
And so there's stuff.
I'm familiar with the Call.
Yeah, there's stuff in Kansas City named after Miss Bluford. She's a legend. So anyway, she knows what she's doing. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing. Miss Bluford, ring, ring, ring. I'd like to come up and visit with you. So I went up to visit with Miss Bluford and sat down and talked about being in the newspaper business and all this stuff. She was very gracious. And I told her that I was thinking about changing the paper from a monthly because I needed more frequency. I needed more ads, all those things. And I was going to go to a weekly. And she told me, baby, you don't want to do that. And I said, she said, don't do that. Do a bi-weekly. I didn't listen to her. Of course, I ran back here and started a weekly. I don't think we did a weekly about maybe a year. I don't remember how long before I realized Miss Bluford knew what she was talking about. I went up there, and listened to her. Why don't you listen when people give you advice? Young people, listen when people give you advice. Especially old people that might know something. So we went back to a bi-weekly. But by the way, the Call is still a weekly. But I mean, she understood that was the way to go. That was a much better way to go. What I like about being a bi-weekly is it gives us more time with our staff to develop a better group of stories, better content. We can get a little deeper in our content if we're just not turning so fast.
Right.
I really appreciate that. That gives us much time. So we really work hard on developing our content. And so I think after that, we've just been growing. We went from Wichita after, maybe 7 years ago now. I've lost count. That people we've been hearing for a long time. Can you come to our area? How do we get the paper in our area? And I'm gonna tell another story. I'm gonna name people. One of them isn't here. Larry. I can't even think of Larry's last name. He was a county commissioner in Geary County. Is that Jackson? Is that Junction City, Geary County?
Yes. Yeah. Junction City.
County. She was a county commissioner there. And Elihu Brunson. You know Elihu?
I know that name.
He's an attorney there in Topeka. Okay. And they called me up on the phone. Got me on the phone. Double call. Bonita, you need to bring that paper up here, and we're coming down to Wichita, and we're going to figure out how to do it, and we're going to help. And that's one of those. Have I heard we're going to help before?
You had.
Should I figure? But first of all,
people are going to be mad at me if I have you on and you just telling stories and calling people outside the name. I mean, you need to.
But that's okay. No, good news.
Consider me here, okay?
Okay. But the good news of it was actually they never ever showed up. That's the truth. They never even showed up. And Elihu would tell you he got very ill, and he was ill for a while, and so that's why he didn't come. But they finally. But it got me thinking. It really did. At that point, because people had said to me before they'd said it, and I kind of go, How we gonna do that? You know? But at that point, we were kind of realizing that we had just about just done what we could with in Wichita, and we needed to figure out something else to do. And so, and it was a time of internet now and a lot of other things that were different from when we talked about it before. And so
Right.
we could try it. And so we started expanding. And so we expanded kind of, I call this I-70 corridor on into Kansas City. And then and we just kind of stayed on the Kansas side for a little while. And now we're doing quite well in the whole Kansas City metro area.
So you send physical, or you're printing physical papers, or just the online presence?
No print. We have more print papers going in the Kansas City area now than we have in Wichita.
Really?
Yeah. Oh well, but that's such a big market,
Yeah.
really big market, and so that was why we eventually went. We needed kind of a bigger pond, you know,
Hmm.
because we just did, and there's that's a pretty big pond up there.
Hmm.
I'm in Wichita today, so I can say up there. But
Okay. Yeah.
now I kind of spend a lot of my time between both of them, working on growing. I'm really working on growing our Kansas City presence. Although again, we're doing real well up there. But it's just again, there's so much more that we can do.
Right. So
Hmm.
what about, because I know, and this is the leading question because I know the answer because you and I have talked about this,
Hmm.
this idea of trying to get out into Western Kansas. The Black population of Kansas, let's face it, is just not that many people.
Oh,
Really, when it comes down to it, sometimes I'm surprised when I think
I
about
know we were having a conversation. What was it between Kansas City, Wichita, and Topeka? What was it like?
152,000,
Yeah, black
maybe.
people. Yeah, period. All three of
Yeah.
those cities. Isn't that sad? It
I was
really
like, are you sure that's it? I thought there was more. I thought, or 500,000, but no.
And again,
But
that's the problem with the community voice when you're in a city and a state where there aren't hardly that many black people, and you're trying to be a big newspaper. It's kind of hard to be too big when
right.
your audience is so small.
That's true. But
Hmm.
this idea of trying to expand out into Western Kansas, I know you and I had talked about, because my office, the African American Affairs office, we are a statewide
Right.
agency. So
Hmm.
I'm based in Topeka. I've been to Wichita several times. I've been to Johnson County and Wyandotte County several times.
Hmm.
But this idea of looking at, there are black people in Liberal, there are black people in Hayes, and there
Hmm.
are black people Garden City. And I know you and I talked about doing taking a trip into Western Kansas to try to make some contact points with the black communities out in Western
If
Kansas.
any of them are listening, please, we want to connect because I just feel like they've been abandoned out there by themselves with no connection. I mean, and one great thing I will say about us going across the state of Kansas as we have, I really feel like we really did help connect the state, the African Americans across the state, because there really wasn't any connection. I mean, I
Mhm.
didn't nobody knew anybody or anything about anybody in Junction City or about anything that was going on in any other of these cities. So it really has been a connecting thing for us as African Americans in the state. But over there still sitting by themselves are these people that need to be connected. And not only do I feel they're not that connected with uh, African Americans in the state, I question, Stacey, and this is why I've talked to you about this, is their connection to state government and the
Mhm.
policies. And one of the things we like to do a lot in the community voice is cover state news because we need to understand how these things are impacting us. We always say it's so easy to get the national news. It's
Right.
so easy. But this, when it starts getting closer to home, it's so much more difficult to get. And so, we really are pleased to be able to share stories about what's going on in the legislature, and particularly from the impact of what they mean to our community. Because, there's a lot of stuff you hear, but you need to screen all through that and get to
Right.
stuff that's meaningful to us. What should we be paying attention to? And that's the kind of thing we try to do on a state level. And that's the kind of connection Western Kansas needs. That's why they need a community voice and a Kansas African American Affairs Commission. If we could just get out there and let them understand that these are resources that are available for them, I think it will be great. And then connect them to the village. Is that the right word?
Yeah, takes a village, right?
And so that you have the resources, who can I pick up the phone and call? and that's the kind of thing that I'm now seeing, thanks to, again, a community voice, a Kansas African American Affairs Commission. And I'm going to give some credit to the NAACP too, that
Mm-hmm.
people
Mm-hmm.
now have those connections across the state, that somebody in Wichita is doing this, if you and I need it, and I can, just make those connections. And so,
Definitely.
yeah, so that's the reason to go out there. It's just say, here, let's connect. you
Definitely.
you don't have
And
to do it by yourself.
that is still part of the plan. I know you and I have talked about that. I also wanted to, it's like a shameless plug, and it probably won't be until next February, but we do jointly host the Black Legislative Day at the Capitol. And so that was something that we did this past February at the beginning of Black History Month, and we will do again next February.
Mhm.
And so that's a partnership, to bring people into the state building, to get people in front of legislators, to sort of do civics 101. This is how it works. This is how government works for us. I worked
And
very
you
hard
meet,
to try to get many legislators to come so that people could see who their legislators are.
mhm. And to meet each other
Yeah.
again. That's so important, guys. So leaders, and let's give credit to Kansas Black Leadership Council. That's
Yes.
that's the third part of that sponsorship. Well, and then the Kansas Black Legislative
Caucus.
Caucus. Okay, yes,
Yeah. So there
those.
was a lot of people working together for that.
Yeah, but that's what you're supposed to do. We're supposed to collaborate. We need to, don't do silos, and that's what I love about working with Stacy and others that who've been before you in that position, and the NAACP and all of us. It's great how we all work together to do things for the community, and so I just think, and it keeps them informed, and to work on their behalf
Right.
on issues and things on a state and a local level. So it's great.
Definitely, definitely. All
Mhm.
right. So I know that my intern has dropped it into the comments a link to your
Oh
the
yeah.
online community voice,
Hmm.
the website, and also do you have a newsletter sign up? So how is the newsletter different than the webpage?
Okay. Well, we have. Okay. First of all, we have the print edition. Okay, of the paper, and I tell everybody though, if you're only reading the print edition, you're missing two-thirds of the news, because we
Mm,
post a lot of stories on our website that never ever make it into the paper. So we are definitely a digital first organization. So you'll see stories popping up there every day. We're posting probably 3 stories at least a day. So you need to go there and look for stories. We share some of those on social media, but not all of those on social media. So another way to get those is to sign up for the newsletter, and then we'll send out, we don't send out all of them, but still 2 or 3 of the hottest stories, maybe each in the newsletter come out. So if you sign up, you get the newsletter. You can also get the electronic copy of the paper. If you can't find the newspaper, it's not coming to you, or it's not in your community, all you have to do is go online to our website, communityvoiceks.com, sign up for the email, for the e-edition and the newsletter if you like. When the new edition comes out, we email you a copy. Poof, you don't have to go looking for it. It's in your inbox right there for you to read.
cool.
Okay?
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Is there do you have any is there anything you want to shamelessly promote? We've got 5 minutes left.
No, I shamelessly promoted the website, communityvoice.com, and the e-edition, the newsletter. We have a brand new website coming. I really think we might. We've been saying it's coming. It's coming. I was on a phone call, one of those phone calls this morning. I think we're looking like we're in this transition of getting the old stuff to the new website, but I think you might see it as soon as Monday.
Okay.
Today. So our new website. So it's going to allow us to do a lot more things too that I'm excited about, that this other one wouldn't allow us to do. So we're upgrading. We've had that one about 6 or 7 years, and it's old technology. So we're going new state of the art stuff. So come
Oh,
check out our new website next week too.
I will. I'll make sure I navigate over there. Okay,
Okay.
so we've got about 5 minutes left. So I always want to spend some time at the end talking about the upcoming election.
Okay.
And this is stuff that you could write some stories about, because
Okay.
it all sort of slipped past my mind. There was such a large run up to the special election on August 2nd.
And I'm so glad, because I was so afraid. You know me. I kept saying, Stacy, when are they going to start talking about this? These people are going to slip this, but it came through. Thank God.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I was talking about it in January. I remember I didn't have a job. I wasn't doing anything. I was sitting in my house, like just calling people, like, this thing is coming. We know it's going to be on the ballot.
Mhm.
However, There are two more
Hmm.
proposed changes to the Kansas Constitution that are going to be on the general election on November 3rd.
And I didn't know that till you told me that earlier today. So tell me about them.
I know. Let me
Hmm.
read the language here because this is the thing with constitutional amendments. You have to read the language. One would authorize the legislature to revoke or suspend an executive agency's rules and regulation by a simple majority vote. So, but that means essentially, if I can get that into layman's term, is that
Hmm.
if there is an executive order, the legislature can just say, nah, with a simple majority. It doesn't take 2/3. So it doesn't take the 2/3 to override a veto. With a simple majority, they can just ignore the governor.
Hmm. And I
Uh,
know where that came from. That came from all those things that came in her orders during COVID, and they weren't happy with that. Okay,
that would be my guess.
that would be your guess. Okay.
Then the second one, and this one I had to read a couple times, and I'm going to have to spend some time reading it and figuring out what it all means.
Hmm.
The
Okay.
language says this one would require the election of county sheriffs in counties that had not abolished the office as of January 2022, and
Hmm.
provides that sheriffs may be recalled from office. So
Oh,
I
what are
know
you trying to do?
one thing I did some reading, you know me, research, like I know where you
Hmm.
worked in high school.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
Riley County does not have a county sheriff,
Okay.
Manhattan area.
Riley.
So that's the only county that doesn't have a county sheriff. So I'm
Okay.
not sure how this is going to apply in Riley County, where Manhattan is, because it requires the election of a county sheriff in counties that had not abolished the office.
But
But here's the interesting part,
mhm,
and I think the part that's going to potentially be contentious moving forward,
mhm.
provides that sheriffs may be recalled from office. I
Okay.
know that, and I've cleared this. I am not allowed to weigh in on issues of candidates, but since this is an issue,
Okay.
I can talk about issues. I just can't. I cannot support a candidate. My
Okay.
office cannot support a candidate. I cannot say go vote for person A, B, or C, or don't vote for person A, B, or C.
Okay.
But as an issue, I mean, I know in Johnson County there are issues with sheriffs. So this idea that a sheriff would be allowed to be recalled, I'm going to have to do some reading because I just don't know what the details are on these two.
So
So
obviously, at this point, you must not be able to recall a sheriff, but can you recall? I don't know. What's the recall laws? We need to look what other recall laws in the state. I mean,
yeah, that would be the interesting thing.
yeah.
So in the chat, we've dropped down a link to the
Mhm.
Ballotpedia.
Okay. That's a good place, guys. It really is.
And it has detailed discussion of the language of the amendments.
Hmm.
It has a breakdown of what yes and no means.
Hmm.
They have comments of people who support the amendment and people who oppose the amendment. So
Okay.
that's a really good. I can tell they're at least trying to be balanced. On one of them, it seemed like there was not a lot of comments that were under the opposed to one of the amendments. So
Mhm.
I think this is just flying under people's radar right now.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll do our part. We'll get the understanding. But guys, Ballotpedia is cool. I can't tell you running up to elections how many times I go to Ballotpedia.
Yeah,
So if you want to know who the candidates are, who's running, and things of that sort, and when who holds what office, how
yeah.
long they've held office, what other offices have they held, it's a real good resource.
And then the other thing that's going to be on the general election that only crossed my radar this morning, so I know even less about it, although I was like texting some people like, "What's going on with this?"
Uh-huh.
Is that of the 7 Kansas Supreme Court justices, 6 of them are up for retention votes.
Ooh.
So, which is an interesting thing given the way the Supreme Court has voted on things like redistricting, and how the Supreme Court. I
But you
mean,
know what? They had been really. I was very surprised by that redistricting ruling. I think because I don't think anybody expected that because I think in the past they've been fairly liberal in their responses to most things. I mean,
and the redistricting thing was not a blowout. It was like 4-3. So
yeah.
I'm not saying we need it. So all I'm saying, because literally I just found out about this, or it
Uh-huh.
just it made it to my radar today,
Mhm.
that is also going to be on the November ballot.
When?
So outside of just voting for governor and lieutenant governor and attorney general and all the legislative things, that there are
Mhm.
questions on the ballot. Once you start getting further down the ballot, there are things with the Kansas Supreme Court judges retention
Mhm.
and there's two more amendment questions. And so I think
Beyond that, beyond the two you just mentioned.
no, those are the two I mentioned. I
Oh,
mentioned
okay.
the first one, and there's two.
Oh boy. But you know what? Then what we'll have to do is we'll have to go back in the community voice and get their voting record on issues
Right,
and see that were important to our readers because they voted, on the a lot of that Chris Kobach mess
right.
about we had to prove our citizenship and a lot of things that they voted on, and pretty much always they'd come out. I mean, even on the funding of education, they
Hmm.
had really been favorable over the years to things that would have supported our community. So
Right.
I'm really surprised by
Well, I'm saying is that they're up for retention.
yeah. So
Their terms are up.
because they have, then I think we need to be concerned because other folks may not want them retained. And if maybe we really do want them retained, even if we weren't quite as happy with redistricting. And
Right.
that's why that's the reason why we had the abortion vote, because they ruled
Right.
that
Women had bodily autonomy.
we had a constitutional right to an abortion. So, we need to look into that and don't let other people decide for us. We need to
Right.
decide for us with information.
So
So
yeah,
thank you. We'll make sure we write something on that too.
yeah, definitely.
That's
There you go. That's a half an hour.
okay. More than that,
Yeah.
then we go long. I thought you
No,
were
well, actually, it's 31 minutes now, so
okay.
we're a little long.
Okay.
But thank you so much. Thank you for coming on today. Thank you for talking to
Anytime. I love to talk.
me. You do. You do.
Invite me back some other time. Let's debate something. I don't know. But anyway, I appreciate it. Well, I don't know. There's got to be a lot more to talk about. So
There's more.
yeah, there's more.
I'm sure at
Okay.
some point I'll be like, Bonita, I don't have a guest. Come on my show.
Okay. Just call me. Okay.
All
I
right.
appreciate it.
Thank
Thanks,
you
Stacey.
very much. I'll talk to you later. And bye,
Okay.
everybody. We'll see you next week.